Welcome to Wednesday night Satsang. On Sunday at our Spanish language service, Reverend Claudia Olmos continues the Gospel of Illumination series, focusing on the power of prayer. We remember prayer has no limits, and that which is spoken and unspoken is heard. Join them at 9:45 a.m. in the chapel. Reverend Howard Caesar joins us as our guest speaker this Sunday at 11 a.m. in the sanctuary. Explore the realities that are available and the soulful choices to be made on the spiritual path. Special music will be performed by renowned musician, singer, and songwriter Eddie Watkins Jr. After service, you're invited to join Eddie for an amazing musical workshop, I Sing My Prayers, where you'll create affirmations in a community setting, and Eddie will turn these affirmations into simple chants. Bring paper, a pen, and your phone or a recording device and join Eddie at 1:30 this Sunday. Tickets are available on our website. We have 2 upcoming classes you'll want to check out. Beginning Tuesday, August 23rd, licensed Unity teacher candidate Monique Gonzalez teaches 5 weeks on using the principles and true prosperity of Eric Butterworth's book, Spiritual Economics. Explore a fresh perspective of prosperity, free from magic and dogma, showing us how we can be fully liberated from egocentricity and materialism. Our second class, Integrating the Feminine Divine, is a 5-week class taught by licensed Unity teacher Dr. Mary Fair, beginning Saturday, August 27th. Learn about integrating more of the feminine divine qualities into our way of being and the urgent present-day call to integrate it for healing and wholeness personally and globally. Visit unityhouston.org/classes for more information and registration. And for Wednesday night Satsang next week, Reverend Karen picks up part 2 of our new series, The Untethered Soul. We'll learn practices for opening the energy of the heart to allow the flow of love. Come join us in the chapel at 7 p.m. Namaste.
And so I invite you to breathe with us and know that as we breathe in and as we connect in this room, we connect with all of the hearts, the love, the souls, the experience of the day, all of that we have brought here to this space to share. We also interact and connect with all of those who are watching us on live stream now, and those who will be watching this service at some point in the future, knowing that their souls, their spirit, non-local and outside of time, is with us now. So that we have all of the energy, all of the love, all of the peace, all of the possibility in this moment, in this room, as we are. And know we are blessed, and so it is. Amen.
Welcome, everyone. Please join us in singing our chants this evening. The first one, "Oh, let this great power." We know we are in the power and presence of Spirit right here and right now, and so we sing that awareness and we feel that energy moving through our bodies as we sing.
Oh, let this great power wash through. Oh, let this great power wash through. I don't have to wonder what to say or what to do. Just let this great power wash through. Oh, let me see the light. see the truth. Just let me see the light in you. Oh, let this great power wash through. Oh, let this great power wash through. I don't have to wonder what to say or what to do. Just let this great power wash through.
A mantra chant this evening, Om Namah Shivaya. This ancient chant of liberation. Let us sing together in an awareness of the truth, of the freedom that comes from the divinity within. Taking that beautiful sound of Om, vibration of God energy that has shifted us now. Become aware of our bodies as we move into our time of seated meditation. Closing your outer eyes if you haven't done so already. Taking in a deep cleansing breath and releasing, letting go. Bringing your attention to witnessing the movement of the breath as it flows in and out. Allowing it to be in its natural rhythm. Bringing your kind attention to the breath, perhaps for the first time today. Breathing. observing the sensations of the beginning, the middle, and the end of the breath. Noticing how the breath may be different each time you breathe. Each breath is unique. Noticing sensations of the breath, the mist of air at the edges of the nostrils, the rise and fall of the belly, movement in the chest, the lungs expanding, contracting. Observing the breath as if for the first time. Feeling the body sitting. Where you're connected to your chair, your feet, soles of your feet, and where you're feeling that connection with the floor beneath you. I have a body. My body is sitting. Not having to do anything, allowing yourself to be. Noticing any thoughts that may be arising as you sit. Observing the thoughts, the energy of the thoughts, the arising and the falling of thought. Taking a step back inwardly from the thinking so that you are a witness, an observer of the experience of thinking. Inviting the question, who am I? Who am I? Am I the body that sits? Am I the breath that moves? Am I the sensations that I feel, the emotions that arise? Am I my thinking? Or am I the one that is observing, that knows I'm thinking, I'm breathing, I'm sitting? Feel into the energy of the witness or observer. Pure consciousness, awareness, presence. That of you which existed before you had a name. That of you which will continue to exist beyond the body. Your origin, your true nature. Unconditioned, not born, can never die. In this awareness, you are awake. You are here. You are present. Noticing if you feel any energetic shift from when you walked in here or started watching tonight. Committing to stay awake, present, and aware. We bring this inner knowingness to our human experience in the here and now as we begin to bring our attention back to this space and this time. Namaste.
Now, as you gently return to this time and place, just bring with you this calm, this peace, this sense of awakeness, this ability to be both aware internally and externally, being present to this moment. And being present to all that is in your life, that for which you are grateful. Just feeling gratitude, feeling your awareness now. Joy, and even love flowing. For this is the time in our service that we share from the abundance of gifts that we have already received, that are our sustenance and what brings us into fulfillment in this experience. And as we consider our own sense of fullness, enoughness, goodness in our lives, let us now give from that space of love, of gratitude, and of peace. And as you prepare your gift to share through this ministry with the world, whether it's on text to give on your phones, through the website, or possibly in physical form in this room, however it is you give, first bless it with the highest vibration of love from your heart, so present now. And let us bless our gift by speaking the words of blessing together. Divine love through me blesses and multiplies all the good I am and have, all the good I give and receive, and so it is. Amen.
We're going to shift the energy a little bit. We're going to sing about it. Walking around with my eyes wide open, not knowing I was walking asleep. Passing by strangers without even looking, not one eye did I meet. Something inside says, hey, you've been missing the life you came here for. Just open your mind and your ears and listen for the key that unlocks the door. You stay awake and aware, feel the opening, awake and aware. Quietly listen, awake and aware. Don't go back to sleep, don't go back to sleep. Can't go back, don't want to stay the same. Can't go back, I glimpse a new. Can't go back, not even looking there. Can't go back, won't go back, don't go back to sleep. I heard a story just last week about the river and the man, how he might cross that river every day, and yet it never stays the same. You stay awake and aware, feel the opening, awake and aware. Quietly listen, awake and aware. Won't go back to sleep, don't go back to sleep. So if you're tired of just being tired, you gotta make some time to go within. You might be surprised at what you find if you listen to yourself, commit to yourself, love yourself, you know you can. Awake and aware,
Awake and aware,
awake and aware,
awake and aware,
awake and aware.
awake and aware.
Don't go back to sleep. Awake and aware, feel the opening, awake and aware. Quietly listen, awake and aware. Don't go back to sleep, can't go back, won't go back, oh don't go back to sleep. Can't go back, won't go back, oh don't go back to sleep. fully aware. That's what this message is about tonight. What would it feel like for your soul to be untethered? Is your soul tethered to anything? Feel like you have some things that are clinging on you like to let go of, right? You like to have some ease. So what are you tethered to?
Work.
Work? Okay. Yeah.
Family.
Family stuff. Yeah, your emotions, your thoughts, memories, all kinds of outer experiences that we can even relive as if they're happening now. So what would it feel like to be untethered from all these things? Free. Yeah, free, peaceful. So that's what this series is about that we're starting tonight on Michael A. Singer's book, The Untethered Soul. And in the book, he offers a way for you to walk yourself through your habitual thoughts, your emotions, your energy patterns, all the things that keep you tethered. And it leads you to an opening to live from your origin, from that of you that is your innermost being, that which has always been present. Though your life has changed, that of you has not changed. It is your true nature. So first he begins by telling us that we need to look at the voice inside our head. Who has a voice in their head? Anybody? Oh, okay, we know. Anybody not have a voice in your head? Okay, so he says if you don't have the voice, then you are completely identified with it and you don't even realize it. So good. We're in a good place. We know we have the voice. So the voice is that mental dialogue that goes on in your head all the time. That's narrating everything. You notice that? Like you're here, but your mind might be on work, on family, on thinking about any kind of number of things, right? What you ate for dinner or didn't eat. It's like if you ever wanted to get in touch with your inner dialogue, think about when you're waiting in an exam room at a doctor's office. You know, when you're waiting for the doctor to come and it's quiet and you don't know when the doctor is going to come. So all kinds of thoughts come in like, all right, well, I'll be patient. I'm a patient person. I'll sit here. I'm good. Maybe I'll meditate. Well, wait a minute. What if I start meditating and the doctor comes in and then the doctor thinks I'm weird because I'm sitting there with my eyes closed and this is taking so long. Should I go out and should I open the door and see where the doctor? Does that sound familiar? Right? The inner dialogue. And it just fills in the gaps. It's just always going. So if we all have this, what's the problem? Problem is we're too close to the voice to be objective about it. We're in it, right? We were sold hook, line, and sinker on the voice. We're all wrapped up in that experience of this voice narrating our world. And Michael Singer tells us that we need to step back, which is something we were doing in the meditation that I was leading you into. Step back and examine this voice and just get to know it better. Get to know it rather than to think it's you, to get to know it as a subject and object relationship with the voice. So what will you notice when you start to notice this voice? First, he tells us the first thing you're going to notice is that it never shuts up. It never shuts. You wake up in the morning, there it is. You go to sleep at night, it's still talking to you, telling you stuff you could do. Right? It's just always talking. And it argues with itself. Have you noticed that? Like, should I eat that cookie? Well, that would be delicious, but I'm on a diet, so I'm trying to watch my sugar, and I'm going to be good. I'm going to not eat the cookie. But don't I deserve the cookie? Come on. I deserve to treat myself. Everybody says you should treat yourself, right? So that arguing, inner monologue that's always happening. It's like when you watch a film or a TV show and you see something called a reaction shot, where the camera's not on the actor who's speaking, it's on the person who's listening, because there's something going on in their mind that we're picking up on. And that's why it's so interesting, because their voice is something is going on and you could try to figure out what that is. And a good actor has a real inner voice going on, and that's why their acting is so appealing. And so you want to try to figure them out and get to be very interesting, and we can get very drawn into TV that way with curiosity about the psychology and what people are thinking, and if they're thinking what we think they're thinking, right? So when this voice is arguing, should I have the cookie, not have the cookie, as a very simple example, who is it arguing with? Who is it arguing with? Is there a judge who's going to evaluate, well, that argument's better than another? Who's it arguing with? So as you watch it, you'll see that your mind, this voice, is just trying to find what Singer says is a comfortable place to rest. Just wants, well, where can I settle here in this thought process that I'm going through? And it changes sides a lot. It finds things that are wrong, even when you think you're in a really happy situation. And as you watch it, the mental patterns become obvious to you. And you can even name them. I like how the spiritual teacher Jack Kornfield calls it your top 10 hits, like your top 10 list. Like you can see those thought patterns that just show up again and again, like your top 10 hit list. So how do you become free of it? How do you become free of that voice? Singer says that don't try to shut it up. Don't try to shut up the voice. And that's a place that when people come to meditation, to my meditation classes, that I've noticed that a lot of meditators get hung up there. My mind's busy, so I must not be good at meditating, so I think I won't meditate anymore. So actually, that is great first that you notice that you have a noisy mind, that your mind is busy, because as we've all attested to, we all have the voice, and the voice is always talking. So it's universal experience that we come to, and what's great about meditation is now you're aware of it, where before you were unconsciously just living it out and being in it. Once you're meditating, then you're the observer, and you're witnessing it. So you're putting some space between that. And what does space allow? It allows for some wisdom and good judgment there. So he says, step way back, view the voice objectively, and know that none of the things that it is saying are you. They're not you. Anything, whether it's nice or mean or whatever, none of them are actually you. My spiritual director has told me when I've gone through some things that I've shared that are challenging, he said, you just need to stop believing your mind. Just stop believing your mind. And this is what Michael Singer is saying. It's like we believe our mind, and then we live as if those things the mind is telling us are true. And it becomes, like the title of this talk is Life is a Dream. You're living a dream reality, which isn't your real reality. It's your mind playing out its fantasy life, right? What you're thinking about. So most of what the voice says is meaningless, he tells us. And so I'm going to invite you in your mind to make your mind say, hello. Can you all do it? You make your mind say hello? Now make it say hello as if you're in a cave, like hello, hello, hello. Everybody hear it? Yeah. Yeah. So there's a voice that's talking, and then there's you who's noticing. So this is the act of having a subject, perceiving an object. So the voice is no longer the subject you, right? The witness is a subject, the object is the voice. So let's say you looked at 3 objects here, the mic, the stool, and the candle. Which one of these objects is you? None of them? Okay, so you knew looking at them that they weren't you, right? You're just looking at the objects. So the same is true of your mind. So you have objects in your mind, we call them thoughts or emotions as well that you experience within. You're the one who's observing, who knows, but it's a little more tricky because it's all happening inside, right? So we can't distinguish it as clearly as what's in front of us that we know is not us. We can do it, we can learn to do it internally, to know that you're observing the mind, but you're not the mind itself. Surprisingly, your thoughts have little to no effect on anything or anybody except you, is what he tells us. So we might think that our thoughts are right and everybody is feeling what I'm feeling and knowing what I'm knowing. They might not at all, right? Your thoughts can either make you feel better or worse about what you're experiencing. And I'm thinking about an experience I had Monday night. I started rehearsals for this musical that I'm going to be in, Sweeney Todd, and the music is rather complicated. It's written by Stephen Sondheim, and it's genius. It's pure genius. And my part is more like a mezzo-soprano part. So in the chorus parts, I'm on the alto line. And my brain thinks like melody. It's easy to remember the melody. Everybody can hear the melody. But the alto line sounds to me like, you know when you know Finding Nemo, when Dory speaks whale and she's like, hello. It's like it doesn't, the alto line sounds like it's in the middle of the chord. It's trying to do something different with it, but what? And my mind is like, oh, forget, how did I even think I could do this? This is crazy, it's so hard, I can't hear it, you know? And I had to step back from that and go, how many notes are we talking about here that are difficult? 10. And is this the first rehearsal? It is. And can I work on this? And am I expected that I'm not supposed to be performance ready on the first night? Yes. But I let myself have that suffering, and that, like, that's the mind. That's the mind, right? It's like, I don't have to identify with that as me. The thing is that when the mind starts getting activated and starts talking up a lot, that's in a response, like the same way a tea kettle whistles. Why does a tea kettle whistle? Well, you put the stove on hot, the water is boiling, it's whistling, it's really hot. So we get this pent up energy inside, and the psyche is trying to figure out what to do with it. How do I let it out? Well, I have to try to work it out, and it tries to work it out in the mind. It tries to release it in the mind. So when you have nervousness or fear, anxiety about something, or even a desire, like a strong desire, like I want to play that part or whatever, a strong desire, that energy needs to be released in some way. And so it activates the voice. And because you don't feel okay inside, the talking is what is releasing the energy of that. Because we can't control the outside world, there are certain things we can choose and control, but for the most part, we can't control the outside world. We've become accustomed to living in the mind and manipulating our experience through manipulating our thoughts about the experience. And so that keeps us from actually having the experience, from having that raw and unfiltered experience just as it is. That if you were sitting here without the mind talking, and your mind could take in everything that's here without a story around it. You could just take it in. Or when you're in the voice, your mind it might not even be here. It might be in another place, or focused on one thing, or wondering where I got this cute dress. But since we can't control the outside world, what this voice is doing is it's a protective mechanism, Michael Singer tells us, and it's to make you feel more secure. I can control my mind, I can control the inner environment, and I can feel comfortable in that, and it gives a sense of security in the world, which is necessary to feel a sense of security in order to move up into higher levels of awareness and being. So it's trying to help you out in that way, though imperfectly. True spiritual growth is about transcending that part of you that needs protection and that isn't okay. So transcending that, the I that is talking will never be content. Have you noticed that? We always find something. What? Just, that too. And thinking, well, once that's clear, then I'll be fine. Once that's done, there'll always be a thing, right? That's just this process. The key to contentment and peace is, he tells us, to stop thinking about yourself. To stop thinking about yourself. When was the last time that you remember that nothing bothered you at all? Nothing at all. I can think about like a meditation retreat. Yeah, I was deeply doing my practice, and then even then I might feel like I had to scratch an itch or something that would come up. So to experience this true inner freedom, which he's guiding us into, you need to learn how to objectively watch your problems instead of getting lost in them, to watch them. So first step is to deal with that part of you that thinks if you rearrange things outside of your life, then you'll have peace. Notice that part of you. And he encourages us to make the voice, imagine the voice has a body and it's sitting next to you and watching TV with you. So imagine the voice sitting next to you, body, your roommate. He says your inner roommate sitting next to you. And what would it say? Well, it'd probably have a lot to say, right? Oh, why'd you pick this show? It's so long. Are we going to binge watch this show? Whatever. Might love it. They're going to have tons of things and just go on and on and on. And when you listen to it objectively, like it's your roommate, he says you'll discover that you are locked in with the maniac.
Wow.
You're locked in with a maniac who can ruin things in a moment's notice, right? Now, that can happen. And think about maybe date nights that have been ruined by some crazy thought. Drama. It wants to create melodrama, loves it, thrives on drama. So we can learn to no longer identify with this roommate, and helps to have an objective experience of it, like he said, in order to prepare yourself to be free of it. Be free of it, which is the direction that we're going here. Ramana Maharshi, who's a great teacher in the yogic tradition, he taught that to attain inner freedom, what we can do rather than feel that we have to read a lot of books and learn mantras and visit holy places is really to ask yourself, who am I? And to really explore that very deeply. Who sees what I see? Who hears what I hear? Who knows that I'm aware? Who am I? And just continue to ask yourself and explore that again and again, and it will lead you beyond that part of yourself that we call the I, that has a name and a job and a family and all that. Beyond your roles, it's the one who's observing, the one that is, and eventually you will discover the true peace that always has been within you when you are able to take that step back and discover that voice and recognize that that voice is not your true self. And when you learn that the experiencer, that observer, when you're with it, you learn that it has a certain quality, that there's a certain awareness and consciousness and intuitive sense of existence that you can feel into that and be able to access that as you continue with the practice. You just have to sit far enough back from your thoughts and your emotions as well as the outer forms to witness it. He says then when you do that, you are at the seat of your, what we call the Buddha self, or the Christ nature. In unity we call it. In Hindu it's Atman. And this is where you're aware that you're aware. This is the awakened state. He says there's a type of dreaming that's called a lucid dream. Have you ever had a lucid dream where you're dreaming, but you realize you're in a dream, and then you have maybe some choices like, oh, I want to run out of here or kiss that person or whatever it is in the dream. You're aware. and then you remember the dream when you wake up. Getting lost in a dream is exactly like getting lost in your thoughts and not being aware. That's that same kind of energy. Being lucid in waking life is being aware that you're aware in your daily life. And once you're aware that you're aware, then you can begin to contemplate the nature of the self, the Buddha nature, the Christ nature, your true nature. And he says that is when you're truly meditating, when you are in the space of the true self. And that's why meditation is called the highest state of consciousness. So we're shifting into that higher state. When you're conscious of consciousness itself, you attain a totally different state. You're aware of who you truly are, your natural state, and you've shifted from the finite to the infinite. So the answer to the question, who are you? Who are you? You are the answer. So now that you know that you are not thoughts, the emotions, the outer experiences, that you're that which is beyond that observes that, and go forth and be you, because that's what we need in the world, is people who are awakened to the truth of who we are, and that's the ground of our teaching here at Unity, and everything in your life will change. Namaste.
Amen.
Oh, that was delightful in a way.
Right? It was a little icky to look at yourself. Oh, yeah, I do that. Oh. The voice does that,
but
right?
with
The voice.
levity, I mean, recognizing that it's inevitable and everybody's doing it. That kind of gave it a little lightness to it.
Mm-hmm. I was aware when you were saying, you're not that voice or whatever, when I'm having a thought, and then I have a reaction to my own thoughts, my own judgment, my own fear, my own, that's not good, this is bad, this, why do they do this, blah, 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 and then I have a reaction, and I become aware. I don't have to have this feeling. It's like the feeling wakes me up, that I don't really notice the ongoing or monologue. I just realize that I don't want to let this thought make me feel like this. And then I realize I don't have to have this thought. So that's when I don't know who I am, but some part of me decides to just breathe into it and let that go and just change that thought. And that, that's not the one I want to have. And I just make a new choice. Or my teenage self, or what I mean?
All yourselves.
All my selves growing up. The part of me that's still wanting to become, right? So this is my becoming part. But I am aware that at the base, there is a solid something.
Yes.
And that solid something is what all this is rooted in and kind of erupting out of. I can draw from it, so I can draw the peace and I can draw the strength and all of that. And then I lose interest in any of the other things, the other thoughts, for a period of time until something provokes me. So it feels like it's kind of like a process, kind of like that.
Yeah, and making me think of Robert Brummett would say that if you want to transcend the ego, first you need to have a healthy ego. And what happens as you're on the spiritual journey is that wherever you didn't mature, at whatever age level, wherever you didn't grow through that, you'll have the opportunity to do that again on the spiritual path. It will come right up, and that's going to be your thing that you need to grow through and learn and allow, so that you can allow that higher self to come forward. But that's the part where it says you've got to do the work. That's the work, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You just called it the higher self then, and you all referenced the Buddha self and the Christ self, and I think of it as the witness self. I have thoughts, I have feelings, I have a body, but I am so much more than that. And that which can observe those things, I just call the witness self. And if I'm tied up, and maybe even legitimately so, like justified anger, or there's something that has ignited a response that needs my reflexes kicking in. There's a time and place for that. But the moment, and the earliest I can possibly take a deeper breath and then be a witness, even as my reactions are firing off. If I can identify with, if I can inhabit my body and have my thoughts and feelings inside the witness self navigator, I've got a lot more choices, a lot more power in that moment, and then sometimes I think I'm guessing that when you're talking about your meditative consciousness, when you're conscious of consciousness that comes through meditative states, for me that is I think of that as identifying with the eternal, identifying with God. And I'm piss poor at it. I can do it. I've done it enough to respect that it can happen. And I think it only comes through spiritual practice, time. And I also think that if you've got that touchstone even a little bit, sometimes the awareness of its existence is enough to bring a little sanity to a moment that is otherwise fraught. And so I think it's useful for us to engage in all those curiosities.
Yeah. One thing that I found helpful that a spiritual teacher told me is that, and see if it's helpful for you, is that in the body is like a finger of the soul. It's not all that you are spiritually, it's like some. Like there's even more that is beyond the physical body. There's so much more expanded than this human incarnation of the soul. And that, to me, it opens up to mystery, like to that there's a lot more to feel into than this little voice that is wondering whether or not to eat the cookie tonight after the service, right?
David, you made me think about, when you were talking, Jeanmarie, about that kind of enlightened higher state, and David, the way you were describing just now, how it is that you've touched it, but you don't feel like you're really there or have gotten that. I've been trying it on too, and it's like, I think for me, if I have been there, I'm not really clear. Like if I sensed, this is the Christ in me, or whatever. I've never had that kind of an experience where I'm aware of the name of it. You know what I mean? Or that I'm conscious of it in that moment. For me, when I feel like myself has fallen away, it's like I feel like I'm not myself. I'm not self at all. Myself is, I'm not thinking of myself. I'm not aware of myself. I'm not actually aware of my body. In that moment, I'm actually out there, translucent,
Transpersonal or
personal. Yeah, it's like all the barriers have fallen away, all the limits, it's just like this beautiful space. But it's not. I'm not lost. I'm not escaped or out of here or anything. I'm a part of everything, but I'm here, and it's a pleasant wholeness. And that's it. There's no enlightenment, there's no dancing girls, there's no, stars going off, nothing like that. It's simply a matter of just being really solidly present, and there's, all of the other affect has fallen away.
I think it's useful in this moment also to respect the cofactor of time in this state, because the part of us that will need to sleep and eat eventually. You know, that lives in time. And what you've described is timeless. I'm selfless, and I am identifying with that which is eternal, but the ephemeral nature of it is inescapable, you know, because I inhabit a body that is bound by time, and that's just fine.
Exactly.
It's all part of the gig.
Exactly right. It's the curriculum. It's
Yes, right.
exactly what we're supposed to do. Otherwise, the body falls away and we bury it. You know, I mean, literally, we've left it. You know?
And
Well, that's-
go ahead,
Oh,
please.
no. I was just going to say that's the paradox, is that we have that of us that is already awake and aware and present, right? And then there's this aspect of us that is evolving and learning and growing.
Right.
So it's both happening at the same time.
That's our best selves. That's our best selves. I'll just leave it at that.
Yeah.
There are times when I need something a little bit more pedestrian. Where I think you were referring to it as when the voice argues with itself. That was pretty funny when you were talking about that. Only because it is so insidious, and everybody identifies with that, right? And there are times when I think you even alluded to it, Karen, about, okay, this thought is not serving me, and I want to not be thinking this thought. But that's the thing is we can't not think thoughts. You know, like if I say, don't think about your feet, now stop it. Don't be thinking about your feet anymore. You know, that's just what we obsess on, right? So, okay, but there is a time when intervention is warranted. You know, if I'm thinking about that cookie, and I know it's going to harm me, and I really shouldn't be doing it. Now, we're using cookie as a metaphor, but my God, we could drop in a whole bunch of stuff.
Much heavier stuff.
Yeah, much heavier stuff. And there is a time when I have to use all my faculties to not do that. But my gosh, that's short-lived and unreliable. So that's got to be replaced almost immediately by, well, what am I thinking about? What am I going to be putting my attention on? And you said it very specifically. Think about other people. Think about other things, you know, being of service. You know, get out of yourself, and then you get your attention on something other than you, and the energy can change. Because again, we live in time. It's not going to be this insidious, I gotta not have this cookie. I gotta not have this cookie. It's not going to be like that very long, especially if I can put my attention outside myself.
Oh yeah. That's how I ended up in ministry. just
Say more.
that I was an actor. I was a professional performer, and I realized I was spending so much time looking at my headshot, my resume. What do I look like? What kind of look am I? What kind of clothes do I wear? And do those clothes match that look? Is it the look that a casting director wants? Does a different casting director want something? And then I'm trying to make myself fit what I think other people want me to be instead of being myself. And I had to get out of all that. And then I started volunteering at church and getting more involved. And that was so healing for me. And I really.
Yeah, amen.
Thank you. And when I joined the choir at Unity of New York and was singing, and I was like, I'm singing and I'm ministering at the same time. I'm serving people. It's not singing like, oh, look at me, I'm a singer, I'm so cute. It's like praying with music. And I thought, well, this is it. This is how I'm serving. Whatever I do is my job. And then I got called into ministry from that. But that was a way for me to get out, because I had that question, who am I? And I was like, I know I'm not all this stuff. All of this actor stuff is not me. And so I've been on a quest for my authentic self, because I played so many different characters, and I'm like, if I can play something and people can believe I'm this different person, who am I? Like, I'm constantly like trying to figure that out. And so I feel like I've come full circle in a way that I'm ministering and I'm acting again, which I never thought that I would do. And I get to do it for fun and for community and have a light touch with it, which sometimes that old professional self that comes back that wants, you gotta be perfect, because then that's how you succeed. And it can be debilitating. Oh, I I had to go to a lot of therapy to work on that.
Right. My heart's contracting as I'm listening
Yeah.
to you. I'm just like, what an awful way to have to, think that you have to present, and that you have to constantly be conditioning and changing and trying to become something else. I mean, that sounds like neurosis right there. I mean, it's like toxic. So I love it that you actually, in doing that and letting go of the thing that was toxic for you, was to discover your soul and to what your soul was really calling you to use those gifts for. So we are the beneficiaries of your revelation.
Thank you. Well, I have to thank Reverend Paul Tenali and Reverend Britt Hall at Unity in New York for that, because they just kept giving the message, and I kept crying and crying until I was able to really heal and take that in years before I heard my call to ministry of coming to services and undoing a lot of that Catholic guilt and ways that were very limiting.
Well, tonight's talk was very inspiring. Your integrated self, presented a great message, and I have lots to think about. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm excited for where it's going.
Yeah, this is really a good book. If you haven't read it, The Untethered Soul, it's a keeper. It's only this thick. It's just a few pages each time, so we'll be hopefully going in depth with it. But you'll find yourself reading it over and over again, and some of it will still look like for the first time. So, well, let's go into our time of prayer, and this is an opportunity for us to just do sort of a little inventory, a little round 360 in your life, and consider what is it that is upon your heart, what in your life, who in your life, that you would like to see raised to a little higher vibration in theirs, that you wish more for them. Where in your life, what condition would you like to see changed? Higher vibration. Condition or person. Anything that is coming to mind, no matter how big or how very small it is. Just breathing into your heart now and allowing your beautiful heart, the doorway to the infinite, to come pouring in with remedy, with love, with healing, with insight, with wholeness and wisdom. And in this field among us and beyond us, I invite you now to speak the name of the person or condition you wish to release into this beautiful bath of answer. Every blessing, every gift, every moment, every life. We are so gifted and so blessed. And that blessing and that awareness is now spiraling out from each of us in our hearts, and encircling, encompassing, and lifting our beloveds and the conditions around us are enlightened, lifted, and pulsing at a higher vibration. All is well. All is done. All is good. And so it is. Amen.
Let us join together now in our prayer for the welfare of all beings. By the power of this practice, may all beings have happiness and the causes of happiness. May all beings be free from suffering and the causes of suffering. May they know the sacred joy that arises in the space beyond suffering. May they rest in equanimity that knows no grasping or hatred. May they experience the equality of all beings. May my practice be of benefit to all.
Thank you, Joy Beth.
Namaste, namaste, I bow to you. Namaste. Namaste, namaste, go shine your light into the world. Namaste, namaste, the light in me sees the light in you. Namaste, namaste, go shine your light. Not my birthday suit.